So hi everybody, thank you so much for joining our event. My name is Kendi and I am the co-organizer for Flutter Kenya, and today we are on event. We have Gayathri Devi, who's a software engineer at Geeky Ants, and she's going to speak about the art and algorithms, and then custom paints for expressive data visualization in Flutter. And the next speaker is Siro, who is a software engineer as well as a cyclist, who's going to speak to us about developing for every screen. Thank you so much for agreeing to speak on our platform, and we look forward to learning from you. Keep up with Gayathri, who's gonna thank you so much, and please take the stage.
First of all, thank you, Kendi, for having me today here. And thanks a lot. It was delightful to be a co-speaker along with Jack Siro. Hi, Jack Siro. And hi, everyone on the community. So let's get kick started with the event today. I will share my screen. Hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for confirming. So, if you got stuck somewhere during the presentation, or if you got any queries, you can post on the chat box. Maybe we can discuss upon during once I and Jack Saro finish up with the session. So let's get started with the session. Hello everyone. So first of all, I get introduced by myself, Gayathri Devi Srinivasan, and I'm actively contributing to many open source community. And also, I'm interested toward writing blogs and creating tech videos. And I'm like a passionate tech speaker. Basically, coming from a community-driven company, I'm working on a Geekans India Private Limited, Bangalore as software engineer, and it is like basically a product studio. We have 6+ products Geek Cat, Top Geek, and we are coming with new framework called GlueStack IO, and native base is existing for React Native library UI kit library. And let's dive into our session. Let's unleash the power of custom paints and what is custom paints and how it enhance the Flutter application with data visualization. So first of all, I would like to share some points on what are the significance or what are the importance of data visualization actually. First of all, which will you as a developer, which will you choose for a mobile application or a web app, which a user or a customer wants to have data, and they should able to understand the data very easily. It should not be much complicated. So, as a developer, which will you prefer? Obviously, based on some use cases, it may get deferred, but in most of the cases nowadays, we are if the data is little limited, or if the data is want to be shows only the count range or the percentage of how much the utilization, we should be going along with the path data visualization part, showing our data in using charts, using bar graphs, or using some readers or pointers or meter kind of thing. We will go with the chart views rather than going with the table view. So here we have through this we can able to achieve improved user experience. For example, consider a situation where here we had a data for example, consider in case of the meetups organized by our Flutter developers Kenya team. So in order to like depict only the count or show only the count, which will you prefer, like meetup, study jams, conference, Twitter face? So here in like instead of showing it in a tabular form, we can go with a like graphical or pie chart way, where the user experience is much more like good. They can easily able to understand. It will not be like a regular. It doesn't follow a regular structure. Instead, it will be more like attractive to like have a point on that. So next is data-driven insights. So with the application of like data visualization into our application, we could able to achieve data-driven insight, and also the communication between the product and the end user will be more enhanced. Also, it will be like good for storytelling, for showing up the details on bar charts or using some any chart ways. It will be more like interactive and easy to like get to know the details. So these are the 4 points which signifies the importance of data visualization. So custom paints in Flutter. Actually, what is the role of custom paints in Flutter? Just a minute. So, like custom paints in Flutter, we all may know like what are custom paints as a Flutter developer or as a beginner level, we could able to know a custom paints widget. So, I will give you a like a overview idea of it. I have a demo file which doesn't hold any functions. So here I have a simple custom painter widget to give you an overview idea of what is custom paint widget and what are the entities it hold actually. So here basically it is a stateful widget. This is where our custom paint widget plays role. Custom paint widget is a widget which allows a developer to draw something like instead of using the existing UI kit library like Patino or Material or something, your developer will be drawing an widget, drawing an element. So the purpose of custom paint is to delicate painting in Flutter, inside and Flutter app. So here usually custom paint holds a property called painter where we pass the painter widget. Usually, the painter widget is created as a class which extends custom painter class. Then we have two necessary overrides inside those class. One is like void paint and should repaint us. Both the void paint will hold the canvas and the size of the element which we are going to create, and should repaint is used in some cases and some places we don't use, because like based on some state changes or something, if you want to reperform the paint action, you will go with this function. I hope like the basic you have got a clear idea on basic. Let's run the app. So also here we have a paint widget. So with this we can able to choose the color of the element we are going to draw, and what is its stroke width, and so here I have drawn a simple line. So I have set the offset as 0, 0, and like here with the parent widget, I have given its size of 600 to 600. If I try to remove it, means Now we don't have any scaffold or something. That's why it's getting a black screen. So just add line. I have just drawn a line. I have created, maybe we can consider we have created a line widget which we have drawn by ourselves. Like I had taken a paint widget, then I have given it passed its color and passed how much width it should be created with. Then with canvas, we have option to draw elements like canvas, dot, clip, draw arc, dark outline, dark circle, draw color, rectangle. So similar with this, we have distinct options of creating elements. So these are the basic entities of a custom painter, like custom paint, a painter property, and then we have to create a draw line and custom painter thing. So these are the key elements of a custom painter, which you should consider. Next, so the role of custom paints in data visualization. So what? It will like a table of data plus our in with add-on to our custom paints will give us we will creating up a data visualization to our application. For example, consider this case of event details along with custom paints. We can visualize we can display them as a charts or graphs using custom paints in Flutter or any other app. And why do we actually need custom paints for creating instead of there are we all as a developer we all may know we are getting enriched with enormous Flutter packages for charts or graphs or anything. But why do we have to create it on our own in some situation? Because versatility of custom paints. As I have told, with canvas property, we can able to create many elements like arc, circle, anything. Like so, the versatility and availability of distinct range of elements to draw in custom paint and seamless integration. We can able to easily integrate the custom paint drawn by a developer into a Flutter UI using a custom paint widget, and it adds more interactivity to our application. And also, as we don't use any third party packages and we are rendering it on our own, it may improve the performance of our application and reduces the memory size and application holds. And what are the approaches for rendering data with custom paints? So now we are clear with what are the basic entities. But now we have to have an idea what are the approaches available we can follow in order to implement custom paints. First of all, we have mainly two rendering things. Rendering data directly using custom paint class and rendering data indirectly using separate layer and custom paint class. Let me show it with a demo and rendering data directly using custom paint class. So here consider a case where we will have a custom painter class, which I have shown before. As of now, we have a class extending custom painter class. We have our must override function void paint and should repaint function. Then we will directly call return a custom paint widget. Inside that we will call our painter and we will call the child which we need to display. So this is the direct approach. So what are the pros and cons of this approach? It's very simple, easy to implement with a single direct approach. There is no complexity on getting the class and implementing them. So we have a direct control over the class. And also it have some cons, it has some performance impact. For consider a case we have just experimented with drawing a line on custom paint. With for the small widget, it is okay to have it in a same class and same file. But consider a case where we need to create a data of 200 to 300 ranges of depicting. So there the performance will be getting low due to a large lines of code, and the readability will get affected, and maintainability will get affected due to this. So these are some of the cons of direct rendering which approach. So next to it, we have the second approach, rendering data indirectly using a separate layer and custom paint class. This has like better performance optimization. It have reduced redrawing also, and the cons is like it have little complexity and limited dynamic. We could not able to add more dynamic because of consider a case where you need to add like state changes based on like one offset to other. So these logic problems will arise us in this approach. I have a demo file for this. So here I have my custom painter class which extend custom paint, and this is my stateless widget. For each element I am creating, I will be creating a separate layer or separate file. So here the picture layer painter will hold a separate class. So for each element, I am actually parting out the elements into different widgets. For example, consider a case of bar chart where I will be dividing it to different elements as axes as different painter and rulers as different painter. By this way, we will be dividing up the elements and render the custom painting. So these are the two basic approaches in custom painting. And performance considerations which we should consider as a developer in order to make use of custom paints in a viable way. Like use the simplest possible approach as much as possible, and you should be avoiding complex shapes or patterns. And also you should utilize a separate layer for rendering up the data part. As we maintain like models in separate file, with regards to custom paints also, we should be handling our data in a separate layer. And also optimize the rendering code ring. The code should be rendered in optimized way, and also leverage hardware acceleration. As we all know, like Flutter leverage the use of hardwares in most of the cases, using graphics engine. So leverage the usage of the uh, as a developer, you may also tends to face some of the challenges in handling large data sets in custom paints. Those are memory limitation, processing speed, and display limitations. So in order to overcome these challenges or handle these challenges, you should use optimized data structure for faster accessing, and also you should implement catching mechanisms for frequently access the data. And you can apply lazy loading to load data only when needed. And you can have a depth research on what is data pagination, where it can be applied, and also asynchronous processing thing. There are some of the data visualization techniques available, which to consider you should choose appropriate chart types for showing informations. We have distinct types of charts like bar chart, pie chart, and linear graph structure. So we should choose the appropriate chart type based on the use case. And also the scaling and normalization should be responsible as much as possible, and the labels and legends should be matched with the user requirement. And also you can play with animations to in order to have better interactivity. So there are some algorithms to learn for better optimization, for creating simple elements like a line or a graph, that's fine. But if you are go aheading with creating complex structures or complex graphs, in that case, You may want to have a better UI knowledge. On the other side, you should also have a better optimized code in order to have better UI rendering. So in order to for that, you should know some logics. For that, you should be familiar with some of the algorithms like depth first search, breadth first search, and Dijkstra's algorithm, Bellman-Ford algorithm, and Floyd-Warshall algorithm. So with this algorithm, you can go through the algorithm pseudocodes and get to know about it. Just initially try it with the Dart, then try to implement them, use them on your Flutter application. So we shall have a demo on some hands-on with custom paints now. As I have shown you draw with layer direct rendering and indirect like separate layer rendering. Now we can go ahead with the demo file. So I have created a graph painter in separate file, which extends a custom painter class. So here actually I am going to draw an X and Y axis. So let's see how can we achieve that. Final list, we should pass the offsets for the data points, showing the data inside the axis. So for that, I am declaring this. Then I am we have our must override functions, come up with the custom painter class, void paint and bool should repaint. So here I have created a paint, colors blue, stroke width and painting spray. And I have passed the offsets for drawing my x-axis and y-axis. Then I have actually looped my data points inside the axis, and I am drawing the path using the path variable and the paint variable. Let's have a look on the file in order to have better understanding. So I will call my custom painter, class which I have created using the custom paint widget. Inside painter, I will pass my graph painter, and I have given its size of 600 to 600. So this is the axis I have created, and these are the data points I have created. Here you can see add oval. Add oval will draw these things inside my chart. And these are my X and Y axis. Y and X axis. So in this way, you can play with creating up the charts. And in order to have some interactivity to our application, I have another demo. Let's change here. You can pass the data points. Yeah. Here I have added some interactivity to zoom and pan. So here we can move the graph and see the detail. in order to like even in some cases we may need to add like see the details in particular with the access. So in that case, we can add interactivity also through like custom class. Let's see like how I have implemented that. Here, like I am handling the scale start, scale update, what the focus point, like passing the offsets to change based on some condition. The offsets play the major role, like how your element is like moving on or going to be displayed in the screen. So you should be like have here I have passed as same as the above, like line 2, 1, the circles. The only thing is like I am here, I have added origin scale from the my stateful widget where the offset is getting passed based on the gesture move. So this way we can also add interactivity to our application. And I hope this demo had given some idea to you. Like I can also show you some real-time demos which we have already existing. It was one of the package from Geekans, Flutter Gorgeous, and you can find it in the pub.dev thing. Here we have that. So the purpose of Gorgeous is like you have the existing charts available. Here we have these all things we have created with the custom painter thing. We have not used any of the chart widgets or something. In order to visualize some data, we have like API, ruler API thing. So we have much things to come up, add on to this package in your in like future. Also, you can also contribute to this through the GitHub repository. We have the GitHub repository. You can raise issue if you got to experiment this. And then like I had like the complete slide deck and the code whichever I have shown you on my demo will be available on the like my GitHub page. Like you can scan and like just go through it for your reference. And if you want to like connect with me or after the talk, or if you got like any suggestions, or if you need any like assistance in like Flutter development related or open source related activities, you can connect with me through like my Twitter ID, and I will be active on both my Twitter and LinkedIn handles, so you can connect with me there.
All right. Thank you so much for the session. Thank you for taking us through the custom paints and all. We are really, really grateful for that. I would like to know if we have any questions for you. Any questions? Not really. I can't see any more questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if somebody has a question, then some is asking what is okay, I can't pronounce that.
Digit algorithm. Yeah.
Algorithm.
So thanks for the question, Sambraka. And you can like Digixtra's algorithm is basically for graphical representation of elements. Actually, it is a part of DSA thing where you have some formula to draw your like axes in a graph. So instead of like drawing blindly your graphs in Flutter apps, you can follow up the algorithm. You may have can take a look on that like a pseudocode of it and try to like you can first try to implement that logic in that, and then you can like try with applying it on Flutter. Maybe like on my GitHub I try to like update the code for trying out this logics in a day maybe. Yeah, yes, actually, for drawing charts, like instead of going with particular packages, we can use our with little knowledge about custom paints, we can directly draw charts actually, because instead of getting a third party packages into our application, we can have our own elements which is getting rendered around the applications, right? So it will also makes the application more optimized in performance wise. Also there will be no third party involvement into your Flutter app. So also like consider a case where you are going with a package, it needs some permissions or some extra kind of things, or some charge packages are still paid one. So all the developers could not able to offer that. In that case, once you got like your hands on familiar with custom paints, you could be able to like create your own charts and those things.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Okay. Anyone with more questions? No? Yes? Okay. I think for more questions, if somebody wants to have more insights on custom paints, they can always reach out to you via Twitter or LinkedIn. Yes. Once again, thank you so much for speaking at our event. We look forward to hearing more from you.
Yeah, it was also great to connect and meet you all today. And also it was very much delighted to be co-speaker along with Jack Siro today, actually.
Yes, yes, and I'm sure Jack is also excited for that. So without further ado, we would also like to introduce the next speaker, who is Jack Siro. Jack Siro is an amazing software engineer. He literally one of those devs who always keep the other developers on toes with questions and answers and all. And he's also an amazing cyclist. And today he's going to speak on developing for every screen, and we look forward to learning more about that and hearing from him. Thank you, Jack, and please take the stage.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I'm happy to be able to speak with you about this topic today. And actually, I've learned a lot from the previous speaker. I think she'll be talking more about what she just presented, because I think the same knowledge of drawing charts can also be used also in things like games, and also basically coming up with the custom elements that are not provided in the normal widgets that we normally use. So I will just share my screen right away. I believe we can all see my screen.
Yes, yes, we can.
So I had presented this in Flutter extended Pwani GDG Pwani, I think, yeah. But I'll still do it. It's also available on my blog on Hashnode. I've written it in 3 parts. Actually, I've written it as Flutter, developing Flutter apps for every screen. It's just the same thing as Flutter portability. So you realize in Flutter we are given a capability to be able to have our apps to be rendered in multiple platforms. From it started with Android, they added iOS. Soon they also added desktop. In desktop, you can run it on Linux, you can run it on macOS, and you can run it on Windows. And now you can also even run it on embedded systems. And of course, the biggest one of all is that you can run it on a web. particularly I've tried to run my apps on all those platforms, and I can say it's a very good thing that we have this cross-platform ability, but to that privilege that comes with the portability, there's also the challenge of actually having your app to be adaptable and responsive on wherever screen where it is being run on or whatever platforms. So as you notice that is that the platform, the framework is continuing the support in various platforms. Even the latest version, they have continued to fix things that were being raised by the developer community. And very soon, developing a Flutter app is going to catch up with other platforms. So I will just go to differentiate between an adaptive as well as a responsive app. And I'll start with an adaptive. An adaptive app is one that can run on different devices, for example, mobile and desktop. And then it normally requires 3 types of inputs. There is the mouse, there's the keyboard, and then there is the touch. So it requires platform-specific features because there are different expectations about the app's visual density, e.g. top-level windows, cascading menus versus bottom sheets for component selection. Then now let's talk about the responsive app. The responsive app has its layout tuned for every available screen size. It needs relayering out of the UI if the user resizes the window or changes the device orientation. Now, just to try and explain it to somebody, maybe the definitions that I've given, probably you didn't actually catch up with it. Basically, if you are developing an app that it will only change the layout based on the screen size, that is a responsive app. But if you are developing an app that will actually be rendered based on the platform where it's being run, that is an adaptive app. For example, you have an app that when it is being run on Android, there is a way it will behave or it will operate. If it's on iOS, there's a way it will operate. But now, if you develop an app that depending on the screen size, if it is on TV, it is on a laptop, or it's on a mobile, for example, like a game. If you're developing a game, most of the time you will work with a responsive app. I'm going to show you one of games that I was actually trying to play about with at the end of my presentation so that you see how responsive apps actually behave. So an adaptive, so it's very important that you understand that adaptability and responsiveness can be considered as separate aspects of an app. Basically, an app can be adaptive without being responsive, or responsive without being adaptive. Additionally, an app can possess both qualities or lack them altogether. Developing a responsive app. So actually, since Flutter allows you to create apps that self-adapt to the device screen and orientation, there are 2 basic approaches to creating Flutter apps with the responsive designs. Number 1 is using the layout builder class. And then number 2 is using the media query of method in your build functions. I'm sure many of you've worked with these methods. Even if you didn't wish to do that, you've probably used media query in your code. And then you normally use it when you are looking for the size. So you will go to the layout builder class. So from its layout in the builder property, you can get box constraint object. So you examine the constraints properties to decide what to display. For example, if your max width is greater than your width breakpoint, you return a scaffold object with a row that has a list on the left. If it's narrower, it returns a scaffold object with a drawer containing that list. So basically, assuming I have a screen where I'm showing a list of items. So I'll show a list of items if the screen is of a mobile phone. But if it's a desktop app, I will change and show a grid. So for me to be able to show a grid that actually will fit without struggling to calculate a lot of things, I'll use the layout builder. You can adjust your display based on the device's height, aspect ratio, or some other property. When the constraints change, for example, the user rotates the phone or puts your app into tile UI in Nougat, the build functions runs. So here is a small code base that actually explains that. So as you can see here, this is a small app, simple app that from the body, we've just injected the layout builder. And this code, if you run it, depending with the screen size, it will print the maximum height or minimum height, all those. It will just print. And of course, there is the return text that we are returning here. So in the layout builder, you realize that you will be, it's a container which will return another container in it, or a widget. Basically, let's say it's a widget inside it. That is why inside the layout builder, there's the return method. We go to the media query method, because the layout builder, I think you will understand it better when you actually use it. But media query, I think most of us are familiar with it. It provides you with the size, orientation, and basically orientation and size, they're just the same. In size, you normally get the height as well as the width. This is more useful if you want to make decision based on the complete context rather than on just the size of your particular widget. It's important to note that if you use this, then your build function automatically runs if the user somehow changes the app's size or the screen orientation. So you need to optimize your app so that whatever your app will be building, it will not be consuming a lot of memory. So you will just need to optimize your app, because you know that when you're using this method, just like the other one for the layout builder, they will always run every time your app changes. Basically, the build function, it will be the one that will be running so that it can render afresh the UI that you are trying to show the user. When we look at it, I have, this is a code base that I'm actually using in a game that I was working on. I haven't released it yet, but I have two major variables here. One is the large screen size, which I've given it to 1024, and then there's the medium screen size, which is 600. So when you look at it, I'm having two widgets. No, I have three widgets that I'll be returning based on the screen size. And number one widget is the large screen, number two is the medium screen, and then number three is the small screen. So then I have the parent widget that I'll be using to pass these parameters, and that is the responsive widget. So in this example, we consider the desktop as default, hence it's required. So depending with the size of the screen, any of these widgets will be returned, and the user will be able to see a responsive app or an adaptive app in that case. When we go further, you will find that this is how we are doing our stuff in the build function, whereby we check if the screen width is greater than the large screen size, we return the large, we return the large screen. So else if the screen widget width is less than the large screen size and the screen width is greater than the medium screen size, we'll return the medium screen. And then last but not least, we are going to return the small screen. So the large screen is the default in all of them in this function. So in the app that I'm talking about, I've actually applied this particular concept that I'm talking about here, and it will play along very well depending with where you are running it. You won't have any problem with the responsiveness. So let's look at useful widgets and classes that we can use for creating a responsive UI. So number one is that we have the aspect ratio, we have the custom single child layout, we have the custom multi-child layout, we have the fitted box, we have the fractionally sized box, we have the medium query data, and we have the orientation builder. Because of time, I'll not speak about them, but it will just be like your assignment. You go, maybe there are some that you've not used, there are some you use daily. So you are just going to learn extra widgets that could have actually improved your UI to be responsive. So developing an adaptive app. So Flutter offers the ability to create apps that can be used on multiple platforms, including mobile, desktop, and web, using a single code base. However, this presents new challenges in creating apps that are not just multi-platform, but also adapt to each platform to provide a familiar and seamless user experience. So as we get into this subject, you can check the original demo for the code of an adaptive app development techniques from the Flutter adaptive demo, which is provided by the G-Skinner team. So basically, if you are looking to develop apps for all the platforms that Flutter is actually supporting, it's very, very, very helpful if you follow the G-Skinner team with the activities, whether they are posting on Twitter or they are also doing it on their whatever they are doing on their GitHub page. So G-Skinner are the pioneers, and they have been used even in Flutter Extended. They presented an app. I can't remember the name. It was Wondershare, something like that. Yes, G-Skinner, they are the first. I can say, I don't know if anybody else tried, but they are the first open source developers who started to develop Flutter apps for desktop when even some things were still not stable. So I'll provide a link to this when I'm done, and we proceed. So developing platform adaptive apps involves taking into account various factors, which can be grouped into three main categories. There's the layout, there's the input, and then there is idioms and norms. So we go into the layout. Building adaptive layouts, one of the initial considerations that you should be how to adjust the app to fit the varying screen size and dimension it will be used on. So there are types of layout widgets. Then there is the contextual layout, there's the visual density, and then the single source of truth for styling. When we look at the types of layouts, we find that there is a single child layout, which I already mentioned some of them, and then there's the multiple child layout. Now, let me talk about the single child scroll view. Single child scroll view is one that I normally use most of the time, because assuming I need to show a grid, and yes, and at the same time, I also need to show a list view. So I need to show all of them in just one widget For example, it's a column. So I'll put my column inside a single child scroll view, and I won't have any other problems. That is one very useful widget that normally saves the day, especially if you are supposed to have a lot of items in your UI. We also talk about the expanded and the flexible. I'm sure you've also used them, and then these ones, they help so much, especially if you are using a row or using a column and you need your items to actually have the same size, or they don't look like they are constrained in terms of size. So that is one way these widgets can be used. We go to the visual density. The precision of various input devices varies, leading to the need for different hit areas. And Flutter visual density class simplifies adjusting view density throughout the app, such as making a button bigger on touch devices for easier tapping. With a change in visual density for the material app, the densities of supporting material components will animate to match. So the default for both horizontal and vertical densities is at 0.0, but they can be set to any negative or positive value desired, changing between densities to allow easy UI adjustments. Here is just a GIF that actually demonstrates that. You can see that when that button is touched there, this UI changes from one that is for a touch device to one that can be used for clicking, basically desktop. So that is why you are seeing when it changes from, it changes to become a device, it changes to become for a touch device, they enlarge so that the thumb can have a wide area to actually touch. So that is why you are seeing that. But when you change, if it is on desktop where you're using a mouse, you don't need a large surface area for you to tap or click. When we look at the code here, we can see that the visual density is actually something that is tied to the theme that your app is actually using to run at that particular moment. So there are things that can actually be passed the visual density. For example, the density horizontally and also the vertical one. So you can see the touch mode is activated based on those functions. It can by default it's at 0.0, but when it is modified, it can go even to the negative or it can go to the positive. Contextual layout, if you need more than density changes and you can't find a widget that does what you need, you can take a more procedural approach to adjust parameters, calculate sizes, swap widgets, or completely restructure your UI to suit a particular form factor. So there are screen-based breakpoints, and then there is the layout builder for extra flexibility, and then there's the device segmentation. Those ones, I think, if you go to research more, it will probably be a good assignment for you. Now we talk about the single source of truth for styling. You'll probably find it easier to maintain your views if you create a single source of truth for styling values like padding, spacing, corner shape, font sizes, and so on. This can be done easily with some helper classes. Now, in my app, even the ones that I'm actually developing right now, I have variables that I use throughout the app, and I don't need to be hard coding values. For example, that is extra small, there is medium, there is large. When I'm using it somewhere, I don't need to hard code that. I already have this value, so it's just a matter of importing it and using it. It actually makes your app to be uniform throughout all the screens. That is why we talk about the single source of truth. Just the same like if I can show you somewhere here where yes, if you see in this code here, there is the large screen size and then the medium screen size. So this particular code, the way it is like that, it is my single source of truth of styling throughout the app that I will be demonstrating much later. We go to, building adaptive inputs. So one thing that is also going to be a challenge when you decide to develop for different platforms is the input. So let me talk a little bit about the types of inputs that we have. And one of them is the scroll wheel, which is also tied to right click. And then there is the hover interaction. So when you develop a desktop app for your Flutter, using Flutter, hover interactions, they are very important. Like, I think I could just, let me see if I can, just give me a moment. I see if I can run an app here that, I think I have an app somewhere here that there was something that I was doing, otherwise I will be showing code base side by side. But let me just, yes. And by the way, if you feel that there is something that I'm doing that you think you have a better way of doing it, I'm always a free person, a free soul. You can correct me. It's not that I'm a genius. I'm just sharing what I've already been doing and I've learned out of it. So, nice. I was thinking it was going to, when I saw it was saying running pod install, I thought it was going to, I normally don't like it when it says that. It might be a sign that it's breaking or it's behind updates. So
yeah, those are not fun.
Okay. Let me try another one. I told you it already has a problem. Let me try another one here that I'm sure I've used the hover interaction. Yeah, if you are running your app and then it says pod install or something similar to that, it could be a source of trouble. You know, these are plugins, and there are plugins for Flutter, and then there's also plugins for Xcode, not really Xcode, for iOS as well as Mac OS. So these plugins sometimes you can be behind in updates. So when you try to run or you are trying to build your app, it stops you. It's just like a traffic officer stopping you, telling you your insurance has expired. So let me see if this one, okay. It's having a problem. Sorry. I can't show you hover interaction at the moment. That's a shame. You have a problem. It's been a while since I ran. Let me just proceed. I hope the other application, it won't mess me. Yes, I've been doing a bit of React, and I abandoned Flutter for a while. So there is I was talking about scroll wheel and right click and hover interaction. So hover interactions is whereby a button can enlarge, or it can change the color, or it can change the shadow, or it can become disabled. Then, or when it obtains focus. Now, when you're developing your Flutter app in a mobile, those things they might not make a lot of sense. But the moment you decide to develop for web or desktop, they become extremely important, because you need to show the user interaction. Because how will they know when they point the mouse or the cursor at a certain widget that widget has an action attached to it? It needs to have a hover interaction. But when you are developing for mobile, it won't matter. You just assume the user will understand this is a button. If I tap, something will happen. Then there is the tab traversal and focus interaction. So normally we use them for forms. When we have user input, we can use tabs to navigate. And then we can also use them if you have developed an app that is for helping disabled people, especially hearing impaired people. You will need to work with the tab traversal or focus interaction, whereby a particular widget will be active, and then based on the tab index it's given, it will be active, and then probably there is a voiceover to explain where the focus is on. And then there is the keyboard accelerators. If you are developing for desktop, keyboard accelerators, they come in handy. Most of you are used to tweaking your VS Code to actually have shortcuts that you are used to. Like me, when I started to use Mac, I was struggling with a few shortcuts. I'm used to pressing Control H yes, I had configured Control H to do replace. Then I come to Mac, I press Control H. By default, it hides VS Code. It took me a while for me to get used to the way Mac ecosystem has its shortcuts. But if you're developing an app, you will definitely need to work on using the accelerators. And then last but not least is the mouse enter, exit hover. So mouse enter or exit hover still is also part of the hover interaction. When the mouse enters a particular widget, there will be an interaction. For example, there could be an interaction whereby you are finding maybe you are showing a toast notification, or you are showing a tooltip, those kind of things. So those are some of the inputs that when you develop for different screens, it becomes a necessity. Let's go to idioms and norms. So the final area to consider for adaptive apps is platform standards. Each platform has its own idioms and norms. These nominals or de facto standards inform user expectation of how an app should behave. Thanks in part to web, users are accustomed to more customized experiences, but reflecting these platform standards can still provide significant benefits. So you reduce the cognitive load by matching the user's existing mental model and accomplishing tasks becomes intuitive, which requires less thinking and boosts productivity and reduces frustration. You are giving user what they expect in their mental model, and you reduce the cognitive load. So you consider expected behavior on each platform. You won't be, for example, there are small things like the notification, not really notification, but alert dialogue, for example. When you have the alert dialogue coming from material design, that the way material design renders things, you will definitely find yourself, you have an alert dialogue. It's similar, regardless of the platform where it's running. It could be on Windows, it could be on the web, it could be on iOS, it could be on Android. It's the same. Now that's very wrong. You are actually not you're not providing the user interface or the user experience that is expected for that platform. So there are plugins that you can research on that could help you to deliver the expected behavior for each platform. Then you find a platform advocate. For example, if you are working in a company and it's a very big company, or they are working on a big product, so there are people who are basically writing the cross-platform code. So it will be good if there is a platform advocate, for example, one for iOS, one for Android, another one for Windows, another one for Mac or Linux, those kind of things, so that these people, they will keep you in check. You don't come with a design that is meant for Mac, you bring it to Windows, or one for Windows, you bring it to Mac. So these people, they will put you to stay in check. So the common idioms and norms to consider: first of all, scroll bar appearance and behavior. Number two, multi-select, touch versus non-touch. Then there is selectable text. And then there is the title bars, context menu and tooltips, horizontal button order, menu bar, and then there is drag and drop. So these things that I've talked about, at the time of Flutter Extended, they hadn't supported most of them, but they just released a Flutter version that was now supporting, like, for example, the menu bar that you can add to your app depending on the platform where it is running. So you could actually attach a menu bar. And then horizontal button order, it's different in all platforms. So there is a plugin I normally use that can enable you to make sure that your button order is as expected for the platform that is being run on. And then selectable text, and of course, there is the scroll bar appearance and behavior. I've seen people who try to use the scroll bar appearance for Mac. They bring it, they use it everywhere because they think it's beautiful, it's fine, but it's not a good practice. It's good that you keep the platform to actually be unique as to the particular platform it is running on. So before I finish, I'll go to my, let me see if I can be able to meanwhile, I'll be taking questions. If somebody has a question, as I see if the app that I was intending to use here, if it's able to run. Yes, if you have any question or there is a concern that you have, feel free to ask it either in the chat or I'll just speak it. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Jack. That was informative. Any questions? Yeah, Gayathri said nice presentation. Yes, thank you for that.
Somebody was raising a hand. I saw somebody raise a hand. That was, I think, somebody, Peter.
Hello.
Oh, yes, hi, Peter.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I had one question.
Yes.
With the current Flutter, do you think you can create an interactive website? For instance, I was showing somebody who was recommending like for now, the good thing to do with Flutter for website is like creating a dashboard. So my question was, do you think that as far compared to React, like something like React or Angular, do you think the current Flutter can be able to implement a very interactive website compared to React?
Yes. It's very much possible. Of course, it all boils down to how you are going to handle state. So right now, everything is very much possible. There is nothing that is hard with the current updates on Flutter. In fact, I can tell you for sure, like if you followed the Google I/O presentation that they did the other day, there was a game that one of the two presenters actually played, and they say that game, the backend had been done using Dart. So I understand that right now, Google are also trying to push Dart to be able to do backend stuff. So as where we are progressing to right now, nothing is going to be impossible for Flutter. In fact, I can tell you for sure is that is probably an imposter syndrome that could be keeping you away from testing out the new Flutter features.
Yeah, I have tried to build several dashboards with Flutter, but I've never considered creating a website with Flutter.
Okay, me, I've tried.
Maybe I'll try one.
I've tried for myself. I don't know if are you people able to see the app that I've actually run right now on my? Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. So this game is I've used block state management, and it's supposed to be like where you are switching blocks to actually arrange something. We just take an image and then we distort it, then you are supposed to arrange it. So if the shortest time that you take, it actually makes you to be a genius. The shortest time you take as well as the time. So not the shortest time, but as well as the moves. Like if I can go here, for example, let me go with like a country. So for example, this is Tanzania, and I say I want to play. You will see it will distort. So now, if I tap on a particular, it's supposed to be able to move them, but it will be counting for me how fast I'll be able to do it. I don't know. It's been a while since I played it. I'm trying to. So right now in my state management, I'm actually managing when a particular tile is actually the right one, it will show the color. The color will be will no longer be gray the way it is right now. So meanwhile, I was to show you how it actually responds. It's able to respond. I think you can see right now, if I'm on a mobile, I need to fix a few things. But if I'm on mobile, that is how it is going to be showing. But if I go to a bigger screen, it's be able to manage it that way. Like right now, if I play it on TV, it will be like that. So right now, because I think my mind is not, I'm thinking a lot of things right now, I'll not be able to arrange it fast. So if I'm tired and I want to do it for me, I'll just say auto solve to be able to finish. So, yeah. And then also, yeah, this is a custom alert dialogue. It's adjusting. Right now, if it's on mobile, it will adjust like that. Yes. I hope you are able to see me adjusting it. Even this home screen should be able to adjust. Yes. Yeah. That's one that is one of the presentation that I think so somebody saying something.
Yes,
yeah.
This is nice. We have a question from George. Is asking, let's say you have an app which has several screens. Do you need to design the layout for each screen on every platform?
No, you don't need. The only thing that you need to do is you need to monitor. You need to actually take into account how many of those screens that you are in those particular screens that you are actually having. You need to check and see what elements need to be adjusted. If there is an element that is if there is an element that or if there's a widget that you feel it needs to be responsive, that is the one that you will actually deal with. And yeah, that is what you just need to do. You don't need to struggle so much. You just come up with one design for all the screens, and then you change it to be able to responsive based on particular widgets. If it could be a list, it could be a grid, that kind of a thing. Somebody is also asking, Herbert is also asking, my question is, can you incorporate CSS framework like Tailwind in your Flutter app? No, because Flutter comes with its own, Flutter itself, it's rendering things with its own mechanism. Because if I come here in my app, I look at the web, it already has, it just has one index file. And this index file is the one that we just need to build. When you build the web, it will update your index.html a little bit, but it normally has a build folder here under web. Because right now I've not built it for web, you will not see it. But if I come out here, I think, no, I cleared my builds. But my point is, if you are building for web, what you will find is that Flutter will build a specific build for your web app, and then when you deploy, everything will just render the same way it renders in any other platform. So you don't need to worry about CSS. The only thing you just need to worry about is how you've arranged your widgets in your Flutter screen or your Flutter app. I don't know if I've answered your question. How about Olvin? Have I answered your question?
I think yes. I think yes.
Yeah.
My question is, you see this game that you just displayed for us, is the code base open source? We would like to check it out.
If I can check, if I can check on my no. Let me confirm. But one of my GitHub, I lost access to this particular GitHub account. They stole my phone and my phone at the authentication app for my GitHub. So I had to create a new GitHub account. So this, I can only use it for reference. So I think it was somewhere, but I will clone it to my other app, my other account. Yeah.
Okay. No.
Yeah. I think I'll let me clone it. I've forgotten where I've actually placed it, but I will clone it to my active GitHub account so that you can actually go through it, and then we can see how open source stuff works. Ama namna gani?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
sure. I think we don't.
If there are no other questions, I can end it there.
Yes, sure thing. Yeah, I don't see no more questions, no more further questions. So thank you so much, Jack, for that amazing presentation and taking us through it all. We are really grateful to have you on our session and always hearing from you. And we're also super grateful to Gayathri for her amazing presentation as well. We also look forward to like more from her and hearing from her. If you wish to like give a talk here, kindly reach out to me or Eric or Sam or to any Flutter Kenya group. We are always happy to hear from all of you. Oh yeah, thank you, Jack, for sharing with us the
is my article that is just talking about the same.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, I'll post it also on the event page. Yeah, and I'm also looking forward to hearing more ladies come to speak and give technical sessions and all. And if we don't have more questions, group link. Okay, I think the WhatsApp link is full, but you can join the meetup or Telegram. It's always active as well. I think I'll share the event links, the group links maybe to Medium. Or if somebody has the Telegram link, can drop it here.
I think Flutter on WhatsApp is still it still allows us. Right now the limit is